Hey, I'm James from J Technology, and we are back here at CES 2016 at the Technics booth. And we have Gregg Lee. He is the training manager for Technics. And I was looking back here, Gregg, and you have the, I want to say, old school 1200 turntable, but now it's, I guess, the grand.
What is old school is new school, and we go back to what everybody loved, the iconic SL-1200 turntable. This is a product that was so beloved that when it went away, people got together and put a petition together and sent it to Technics, like over 20,000 plus signatures. Please bring back the 1200. Well, how can we deny that? We have brought this turntable back to market. It's all the great things that the 1200 series turntables of years past has been, but this Technics turntables took what was great about those and have brought the new technology to it to make it the best turntable that we've ever built.
Just looking at it right now, I mean, it looks a lot more sleeker than the old 1200. I mean, can you kind of go over like the features or the specs on it?
Sure. In terms of a turntable, some of the most important aspects are to make sure that it is solid and stable, so it's not affected by shock and vibration. So we've kept that really multi-layer of construction in the turntable like we've had in the past, but we've added to it. First off, it's a die-cast aluminum chassis, making it very light and sturdy, and then it's filled with a bulk molded compound, which helps to absorb any kind of shock or vibration that might be transmitted into it or through it, stop it from getting to the stylus. And then also having rubber material outside, wrapped around it. And last but not least, to give it more bulk and more weight to really set that thing down, a 10 millimeter piece of what they call immaculate aluminum. So this thing is really massive in weight. It really weights the player down. In fact, the turntable now weighs 40 pounds, or just shy of 40 pounds. So that's a lot of weight. So if you're listening to audiophile and somebody's walking through your wood floors, or if you're setting up in front of an audience of 100,000 doing something on your scratching on your turntable, you've got the stability. But not only the stability do we need the rotational accuracy. We want to make sure that thing's spinning at the right speed. So we have a brand new developed motor. It is actually coreless. We've taken the iron core, tossed it to the side. It's going to make it much more linear, much more stable. And we also made it a twin rotator design. So it's almost like a two-wheel drive versus a one-wheel. This basically puts less stress on the spindle and helps the things to spin more smoothly. And last but not least, on the platter, we used to have aluminum platter with the rubber sound deadening material on the bottom. We've now added a big old plate of brass to that. Now the benefit of the brass and the weight is that when the table is spinning, because of the extra mass, that gives us more inertial energy. So we're not going to, if you drop the power off it, it's not going to immediately stop. It's going to continue to rotate, so it helps to keep the table more consistent in speed. So these are some of the key things. And on this product, since it's the SL-1200, and we're celebrating the 50th year of Technics, it's our anniversary, our 50th anniversary, there's a special edition, or our limited edition, that's coming to market.
Is that this year?
That is this year. We're expecting somewhere around summer that we'll see worldwide the delivery of 1200 limited edition tables. We'll start with number 1 and go up to, of course, number 1200. Get it? Yeah, 1200. Anyway, this is awesome. We've had people come in here saying, how do I get hold of these? And on this limited edition, we're even going to give you a magnesium tone arm, which is going to be a little bit more lighter and a little bit more nimble than the aluminum tone arm. So if you want a once-in-a-lifetime 50th anniversary limited edition Technics SL-1200 time is going to be very, very short.
Wow. So are you already taking orders on this now?
Sure. How many do you want?
I'll take 2.
Okay, well, we got that on camera, right? He wants 2. We'll start taking orders. They'll be delivered through our Technics Global Dealer Network. In the U.S. market, we have 14 dealers currently, so hit the Technics website if you're really interested. See if you can find a dealer that is closest to you and start putting in inquiries and saying, hey, I'm really interested in this product.
Okay, and you said summertime would be available, but the price, what are we looking at?
I'm not frozen up. I just didn't want to say it all immediately. On this turntable, the tentative price right now for the U.S. market is $4,000.
It's nice.
Still
and
want 2, right?
Yes, 2. And the other units here, you have an amplifier, looks like, and a music server.
You were exactly right. Unfortunately, I have no prizes to give you. The SL-1200 Grand also is joined by our new Grand audio system, our G30 and ST30 music server. So if you were here last year, Technics had this massive reference system. It was a massive Class D amplifier with an amazing preamp, and it was huge and it was expensive. Basically, we took all the great things out of that product that made it great, and basically have downsized it into a integrated type chassis. So this is the preamp, it's the amplifier, and it allows you to play content through it. So the integrated streaming amp has the ability to connect up to Wi-Fi, Ethernet. It'll pull in via DLNA. You can run it USB. Just about any way you want to put content into it, it will, and it'll run with it. But the nice thing is it does carry over the technology that we developed for the reference series that was unheralded nobody had seen it before. That's our LAPC circuit, which basically makes sure that the alignment or the sound that comes to the speakers is perfectly phase aligned using the processor to literally test and create a compensation output for the speaker. So it's a way of matching our amplifier to give you the best performance on any speaker you would connect to it. Also, because we're running the unit, and it's a Class D, we're using an extremely high speed switching transistor. We're talking 1.5 megahertz, not kilohertz, we're talking the megahertz range. And to be able to switch at that speed, we had to jump from like MOSFET, which everybody thinks is fast. MOSFET's too slow for our amplifiers. We had to go to a gallium nitride output transistor. So we were really pushing the technology envelope. We see digital as the future, but we also see going back to analog, as the originator. And of course, there's been such a resurgence of vinyl in the US market. This past year, I believe over 1 million records were sold. We haven't sold 1 million records in the US market since like 20 years ago, literally 2 decades ago. So we're seeing a resurgence of vinyl, which is one of the reasons we're getting back into the 1200. But if you also want to have the convenience of being able to take your content and have all of it in one spot, we also have our music server, which is the Grand product here on the bottom. So in this Technics product, you have a CD drive, but you put your CD in and it doesn't play them. It immediately rips them bit perfect to a SSD, a solid state drive. And the nice thing is that drive is removable. So if you wanted to take all of your classical collection and, from CD, maybe you have MP3, maybe you have FLAC files, A files, we'll play all of those files. You could, then put them on the drive, and then you've got a collection. Well, maybe I want to put jazz on a different drive. I have the ability to switch those drives out. And so all of this is going on. We have Wi-Fi capability. We'll connect through the Ethernet cable. And pretty much anything you want to run through it, through USB, you want to run network storage. Now the question is, if I've got this connected to my network, how do I find all my music and such? Well, there is a Technics music app that runs on Apple or Android devices. Download that, set it up, get the app and the units on the same network, start the app up, start it going, and then you'll be able to choose and pick, hey, I want to play this file off of my laptop, I got this on network attached storage. It makes it much easier to be able to access and control and play all that stuff back.
Wow, and that app is available right now too?
Absolutely. In fact, if we went back in time, it was available last year too, so good news.
Great, and the speakers, let's go over that we have back here.
These are our C700 speakers. We did introduce them at CES last year. They were, we had the reference system and then our C700 premium system. What's exciting about these is that if you notice, it's kind of an interesting configuration. It is a bookshelf, but the drivers, there's a full range and then of course the tweeter or mid, or however you want to put it. But it's a coincident driver. So in the middle we have the tweeter, and around it we have the full range driver, which is actually a honeycomb skeleton, and then stretched over the skeleton is a carbon cloth. So it's very rigid, very light. And the reason we put them together is that, if you're playing any instrument, or if I'm like talking to you, if my vocal frequencies were coming out here, but my high frequencies were coming out here, I would sound really weird. So same thing, if you're listening to a speaker and you get away from it, you can move your head up and down and you can hear how the interaction based on the placement can affect the sound. Well, if everything is coincident and it's all coming from the same spot, then it speaks more like a human voice, or more like the instrument. It's the the point source of sound. And we recently had a review of this in a very popular high-end magazine, a publication, and they loved it. And we may not have been known for speakers. We've always built great speakers, but we've never been known in the audiophile range. The indications are these things are spectacular performers, and if you haven't auditioned them and you're looking for something new in the $1,700 to $1,800 range, you definitely want to check out the Technics C700 bookshelf speakers.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because it's like, wait, is that just one speaker? Because normally you have the tweeter on the top, and if it's a two-way or three-way, mid-range, and the woofer. So are they going to be different models of this speaker?
We actually have a white version and we have a black version. Just standard bookshelf mount. You want to get your own stands, and of course with any bookshelf we do not recommend sticking them on the actual bookshelf, but actually putting them on stands and getting them somewhat away from the wall so they can breathe and really come to life.
So if we're looking at the whole unit, price-wise, what are we looking at?
Cash, check, or charge?
All of the above.
All the above. So what we're seeing here, approximately for the grand turntable, about $4,000 for the integrated streaming amp. About tentatively, we're still kind of studying the server, so I'm going to kind of balk on that one. And the speakers are currently available for about $1,700. So between $10,000 and $15,000 for the complete system.
So I can basically write you a check right now for the whole system here.
I'm sure you could write me a check. That would be perfect.
Well, thank you, Greg.
Thanks, James. Appreciate you coming by.